Good morning, all. I'd like to introduce Takafumi Anegawa. He's the Secretary General of the Nuclear Reform Special Task Force and Deputy Chief Nuclear Officer of the Nuclear Power and Plant Siting Division at Tokyo Electric Power Company. The task force was established in 2012 in order to reform TEPCO's safety culture in the wake of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident in 2011. The task force covers areas such as safety measures, disaster prevention measures, and risk crisis protocol. Mr. Anegawa's career and experience lends itself well to discuss the prospects for Japan's nuclear industry and consider the challenge and opportunities in the age of deregulation of the energy industry in Japan. His experience with Fukushima Daiichi, coupled with work in the design of the simplified nuclear reactor for GE in the US, should lend itself to some interesting observations. Mr. Anegawa.
Thank you, Tim, for a kind introduction. First of all, I want to express my deep gratitude to invite me to make this, to give me this opportunity to share the information, what's going on in TEPCO, as what's going on in Fukushima Daiichi. And as you know, 3 years ago, there was a big earthquake and a Fukushima Daiichi accident. And since then, we are struggling to handle this very difficult condition. But because of your great support, international great support, we are now continuing this effort. And I appreciate your continuous support. And today, I have 4 content. This beginning of this year, we issue new comprehensive special business plan, this one. And it contains the Fukushima Daiichi stabilization work. And it also contains the nuclear safety reform because, as you may know, one of the background why we could not prevent the Fukushima Daiichi accident, that is because of the poor nuclear safety cultures. That's why we are doing enhancement of nuclear safety. And last item I want to mention is what kind of safety measure we are taking in Kashiwazaki Kariwa nuclear power plant. But anyway, today I mainly focus on the Fukushima Daiichi issue. And in a new comprehensive business plan, this business plan consists of 3 major stakeholders: the taxpayers, that means the central government, and financial institution, and we, the TEPCO. And in that comprehensive business plan, there's many issues we have to tackle. The first thing is the compensation for the refugee of the Fukushima prefecture. The last year, we estimated the amount of the compensation was 3.9 trillion yen, but this year it increased 4.9 trillion yen. So it's a big money, but we have to escape from that responsibility. We try to accomplish this responsibility. That is a first. And second, we tried to improve living condition of the Fukushima prefecture to expedite the return to home. It is very tough activity too, but we are now doing this kind of activity. And In order to expedite that, we try to build the infrastructure and job opportunity in Fukushima Prefecture. That is another our responsibility. And to perform that, we established Fukushima headquarters. It handles these kind of activity. And we try to increase the staff of the Fukushima headquarters people. And to achieve that, there's several things we have to do. The first one is a reduction of the expense, 4.8 trillion yen in 10 years. And personal reform, we are adopting early retirement structure. We expect 2,000 staff should be reduced very near future. And to meet the deregulation of the electricity business and competition, we are now changing our structure of the company. That is the holding company structure. There's 3 companies in TEPCO right now. The fuel and fossil power division, and electricity transmission and distribution division, and the retail sales division. These 3 companies are already there. And they are now preparing the real meaning competition started 2016. And in fuel and power company, one of the big issue is drastic reduction of the fuel cost. Energy transmission distribution division, one big issue is adoption of the smart metering system to enhance the business chance of this transmission company. And the retail and sales division, the Tokyo Electric Power Company right now cover the Kanto area. Kanto is around the Tokyo area only, but we will expand the sales area to whole Japan. These are big issue for all these sub-companies. Next, I will mention about what's going on in Fukushima Daiichi. As you know, the 3 reactor meltdown occurred. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. At the time of the tsunami hit the Fukushima Daiichi, Unit 4 outage condition. But because of the hydrogen transfer from Unit 3, hydrogen explosion occurred on the Unit 4. Hydrogen explosion, Unit 1, Unit 3, and Unit 4. So 3 meltdown core, and another 3 severely damaged reactor that we have to handle. But right now, we continuously inject the water to the damaged reactor. And as you know, nuclear fuel, they generate the decay heat even though it shut down. So we have to continuously inject the water. And Unit 1, 2, 3, every day about 400-ton water injected. And because of that, the inside of the containment vessel temperature seems very stable. And we have to improve the safety condition of the Fukushima Daiichi too. That means right after the accident, the injection water pump or water storage tank was single. But right now, we made, this is a normal condition water injection pump. This is backup, this is backup, the backup, and another backup. And water storage tank, same way, we increase. So current condition, we diversify and multiply the electricity supply to these pumps, and a pump itself, the number increase, and water storage tanks increase. So condition of the damaged core looks very stable. That is the one achievement we made. And right now, we separate the three phases of the Fukushima Daiichi restoring activity. We are now phase one. Phase one main issue is to keep the stable damaged core condition and defueling from the spent fuel pool. As you know, we have many spent fuel on the floor, top of the floor of the reactor building. We have to remove that from the building because Unit 1, Unit 3, and Unit 4, it's severely damaged. To keep the spent fuel there is a high risk, so we have to remove that as soon as possible. The phase one activity, that is a major activity. And phase two, probably around 2020, we start to removal of the debris fuel. Debris fuel means destructed the nuclear fuel. And but this is a very hardest activity because nobody have done this kind of a job except a 3 Mile Island. And phase three, later on, how to clean up the whole site. And in the phase one, yes, as I mentioned, right now, for the Unit 4, we are now defueling the spent fuel pool nuclear fuel. Originally, it contained 1,500 bundle of spent fuel. Now, the 1/3 of spent fuel were already removed from the Unit 4. Its activity began last November. At that time, there were very negative rumors that this is very risky activity, that's why the high possibility of another meltdown occurrence. So one of my friends, he's Chinese, he went back to Hong Kong because of that rumor. But it's very pity, but we believe we pay attention to achieve this activity very carefully, and fortunately, we are now in good progress condition. And as I mentioned, this is one of the most toughest activity, how to remove the molten core from the bottom of the containment vessel. On left-hand side, this is the current condition. Molten core might be located around here. And unfortunately, this containment vessel were damaged because of the high temperature of the, right after the accident. So there's some leakage found around here. So using some technology, we have to plug these leakage and fill the containment vessel by the water. The water is necessary to shield the high radiation from the worker. That's why this is one strategy we are considering. But we have to invent another diverse methodology to remove this kind of molten debris fuel, because probably another difficult obstacle we may find in the near future. So anyway, we have to develop the new technology and establishing the plan to remove the fuel, and after that, we will challenge this activity. And there's another bad rumor with the TEPCO only hearing the inside Japan opinion, not to have the open mind to the outside world. But it's false. We invited the nuclear expert from the world. Such expert people gave us a very useful advice. And one example is Mr. Lake Barrett. He's a former director of the US Nuclear Regulatory, and he led the cleanup activity of the 3 Mile Island. Cope with their wisdom and insight, we are doing the restoring activity of the Fukushima Daiichi. And now, biggest difficulty is how to handle the contamination water. I would like to mention about that. And as I mentioned, we have to inject the water continuously, even though it already shut down. To remove the decay heat, we have to inject the water. And this is the circulation indicate. And injected water passed through, and there's a leakage. It came out the reactor building, and it moved to the turbine building. We pumped up this water. This water heavily contaminated because it's cooling the debris fuel. That's why. And so we have to extract cesium. It contains very high cesium rate. Cesium is the source of the high gamma ray source. So if we do not eliminate cesium using this equipment, we cannot access these tanks, and we cannot maintain these pumps. So this equipment is very important. But anyway, this circulation, every day 400-ton water circulated. If it is only this circulation, it's not a problem. Fortunately or unfortunately, Japan is a water-rich country. So if you dig the hole on the ground, you can find lots of water. Fukushima Daiichi site is not exception. So underground, there's a water stream from land side and the seaside. And daily basis around the unit 1, 2, 3, 4, approximately 800-ton water stream every day. And half of that, unfortunately, they leak in the building. So 400-ton contaminated water. This residual water we have to handle. We construct the big tanks and to store the contaminated water. And cesium, most of the cesium were extracted after passing through this equipment, but strontium or another radioactive nuclide it contains, that's why it has still high potential risk. So we are now start the operation of another filtering system, the so-called ALPS. And it can extract beta ray radioactive material. And this is one major, important measure to minimize the potential risk we store the high contamination water. And this is a drawing of the underground, from mountainside or to seaside, approximately the 800 tons water are streaming, and half of that coming into the reactor building. And this is a drawing of the Fukushima Daiichi site. You can see this is a very big nuclear power site, and unit 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. And this area, before the accident, this area were the whole forest. But we cut the tree and construct these kind of tanks and try to store. And sometimes these tanks occur the leakage, and mass media reported that, and your concern activated. Very sorry for that. And right after the accident, you can see, yes, I want to use this drawing. This is the increasing rate of the contamination water. The 400 ton per day is not small number. And in 2.5 days, we have to construct 1,000 tons. That is very huge water reservoir. We have to construct 1,000 ton water reservoir every 2.5 days. And if we cannot catch up, that means miserable. The highly contamination water spill over from the Fukushima Daiichi site. So this is our plan. This is maximum speed to construct the water reservoir. And fortunately, so far, it covers the increased rate of the contamination water. But this is an endless battle, and we have to seal the primary containment vessel, and in a few years we have to change the situation. Otherwise, we have to continue this endless battle. But anyway, we are doing additional measure to minimize the risk. This is one example, the extraction or equipment of the cesium from the contamination water. This technology came from the United States, Curion. Curion is the company's name. Right after accident, they worked very hard and transferred this technology to us very kindly. We thank them so much. Without this apparatus, we cannot continue working in the Fukushima Daiichi. And further reduction of the potential risk, we try to get rid of the beta ray nuclides. And this is a new apparatus, so-called ALPS. And it is commissioning stage time to time, it occurred malfunction, unfortunately, but you can see, yes, this line, we are now here. So total amount of the contamination water is 400,000 tons in Fukushima Daiichi. But 1/3 of that we've already treated. That means except the tritium is the hydrogen, except the tritium, whole radioactive nuclei extract from the contamination water. So next 1 year or so, we try to treat the whole contamination water. That means the drastic reduction of the potential risk. Another risk there is there's a turbine building. This is the ocean side. This is a port of the Fukushima Daiichi. Right after accident, in the coastline, there's a seawater pump, and between the seawater pump and the turbine building, there's a trench line that in that trench, originally the piping and the electricity cable are there. And through this trench line, the highly contaminated water come across, and leak occurred to the ocean. And we handled this leakage. We stopped this leakage already. But even now, there's a very high contaminated water there inside the trench. Now, we are doing activity to extract the highly contaminated water from this trench. That can reduce another high potential risk from Fukushima Daiichi. And this is the radiation level at the point of here. And this is the radiation level of just outside of the Fukushima Daiichi. And normal background level is 1 or 2, this line. And the regulation limit is here. And right after the accident, you can find that the particle axis is logarithmic. That's why the 4 order or 5 order higher than the regulatory limit. So it reduced drastically, but we hope this level should be around here, like outside of the Fukushima Daiichi port. But unfortunately, probably there might be small leakage there. That's why we try to extract contaminated water from the trench or turbine building and try to reduce the radiation level. We hope near future it can reach the natural background level. Natural background level is like here. But anyway, outside of the Fukushima Daiichi port is natural background level. That's why the Prime Minister Abe made a speech at the Olympic invitation competition. He said it's under control. There's a dispute, I understand, but we believe current condition is under control, and near future we will achieve more stable condition. Limitation of time, I have to skip a few drawings. Since this April, we established new decommissioning and decontamination company. And this is our inside company of the TEPCO. And cope with the national government and other organizations in Japan and the world. This sub-company should handle the Fukushima Daiichi issue. Of course, TEPCO had the full responsibility to handle the Fukushima Daiichi. We will support this decommissioning company's activity. And the chief of this decommissioning company is Mr. Masuda. He's a former superintendent of Fukushima Daiichi who saved the Fukushima Daiichi from the heat of the tsunami attack. And next issue, I want to talk about the nuclear reform, how to improve the nuclear safety culture inside the TEPCO. We invited a very famous, well-known leader from the world, Dr. Dale Klein. He's a former NRC chairman, and Lady Barbara Judge. She was the head of the English nuclear industry, and Kenichi Omae and Mr. Sakurai. And I mentioned about Mr. Lake Barrett. We are getting their advice and try to enhance the safety culture, and we reflect what we done before the accident. We concluded the top management responsibility is very heavy. So including the president, he's President Mr. Hirose. We first try to improve the safety culture by ourselves and try to disseminate such safety culture inside the whole organization. Unfortunately, limitation of time, I don't have enough time to mention about FATS safety measure we are taking in the Kashiwazaki River. Kashiwazaki River is a very huge nuclear power site. It has more than 8,000 megawatt output. And this nuclear power site face to the continent, not the Pacific Ocean. That's why the prediction level of the tsunami height is not high. But anyway, the prediction level, maximum prediction level is around 6.0 meters, but we constructed the 15 meters barrier. That means the seawall or embankment. And that is a direct measure against the tsunami, but Fukushima accident lessons learned are much broader. That means the risk of the station blackout, how important to keep the water injection and the heat sink. So to enhance the electricity supply function, this is our mobile system to supply the electricity. And this is a DC battery system enhancement. And talking about the water injection, we try to implement a new technology which can keep the water injection even though the electricity loss condition. And from the outside of the reactors, the fire engine on the water reservoir, and mobile heat exchanger, or so on. And this is a famous filter venting system. Based on the review of the Fukushima Daiichi accident, we ourselves designed this filter venting system to improve the decontamination factor, and it's underway to installation. And prevention measures of the hydrogen explosion. And it costs so much, but it can pay for the future, we believe. This is the conclusion of my remarks. Again, I appreciate your continuous support even after the accident. we try to enhance our organization ability. We have to enhance the nuclear power station ability, and we continue to stable restoration of the Fukushima Daiichi. And hopefully, not so far away, we can make a return. Most of you, or most of the world people. Thank you very much for your attention.
On NHK, I saw a film yesterday showing that some agricultural cooperatives have agreed that you can release water to the sea. I guess it is contaminated water. Does this change the chart you have been showing that the level of contamination is below the normal level?
That news report is not the agriculture people. It's a fisherman's organization. They agreed to discharge the water. That agreement is this water discharge. It's a little bit complicated. And as I explained, groundwater coming mountainside to the sea, and we try to bypass this mountain water. We try to make the bypass line. And that can reduce the water amount coming into the ruined reactor building. This is our bypass well. Now, so theoretically, this water are not contaminated. Because there's a fallout of the accident, somewhat contamination are there, but not severely contaminated. So we treated a little bit of this water and make a bypass and discharge to the ocean. That can help a reduction of generation of the contamination water. And fortunately, Fishermen's Corporation understand the background of our explanation and agree to discharge this water. It can reduce a substantial amount of the water. That is very helpful. This is a big one first step to cope with local people. Another question?
Hello. You mentioned at the start of the presentation there's an increase in the compensation from 3.9 trillion yen to 4.9. Can you share with us a bit more detail? What are the compensation in relation to? Is there a portion that's because the accident has impacted the health of the residents around the area?
Yeah. It's not related the impact on the health, but duration of evacuation is become longer than fast expectation. So that's why the compensation money amount is increasing. There's some debate about it, but this is my personal opinion. Fortunately, there's no health impact by the direct effect of the radiation dose. I believe there's a consensus in the professional people of this kind of field. But unfortunately, long duration of the evacuation, inconvenient lifestyle, and distraction of the society or family, it affects health of the people. So that is a very sad thing. We are very sorry about that. Because of that, there's such a kind of health effect. But anyway, now talking about this increase is depend on the longer duration of the evacuation. Any other?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just on that point about compensation expenses going up, and as relaunches, restarts become more prolonged, delayed, what has the conversation been with the government vis-a-vis their involvement? Obviously, they have a sort of a more passive involvement at this point in time, but I mean, the conversations that you've had with the government?
In this comprehensive package, we share the responsibility. The compensation area, we, TEPCO, have the 100% the responsibility. And decontamination of the field, mainly government share the responsibility. And Fukushima Daiichi, we the primary responsible organization to handle, to restore that, but our government help us to restore that. That is our generic framework of the sharing the responsibility with the government. Is that enough answer for you?
Thank you. I guess the question, follow-on question is, given how critical sort of the restart of nuclear is to Japan and to Prime Minister Abe's policies, what kind of conversations or discussions have there been around sort of the eventual need to nationalize TEPCO to the extent that you continue to delay, Fukushima or some of the other plants?
The effect of the restarting the nuclear power plant is still very, very big. And people's opinion of the nuclear power plant is very hard. Probably more than 50% people are against nuclear power plant restarting. But it is not a simple situation like that. Prime Minister Abe cabinet support to restart the nuclear power plant if it is admitted safe enough by the NRA, that is a new regulatory body in Japan. And national election, previous national election, the Liberal Democratic Party get a majority. So it is a very complicated situation. So, but anyway, the way that TEPCO try to regain, recapturing the trust of the public people. That is our role. Of course, we need the government help, but primary responsibility, that is our role, especially the stable situation of the Fukushima Daiichi. That is a primary responsibility for us.
Anegawa-san, on slide 23, you mentioned that you will undertake, hardware and software countermeasures. I presume all of this is going to be at a cost, at a capital expenditure, which may not have been planned. So do you have a very rough estimate on how much this will cost you over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of extra capital expenditure for safety measures? Thank you.
We prepared 1 trillion yen to tackle the Fukushima Daiichi restoration. And additional 1 trillion yen budget is necessary to keep the good activity, good operation of the Fukushima Daiichi. So total amount is 2 trillion yen. So how to squeeze the such budget? That is a big issue. But anyway, the stable decontamination and to establish the good environment to work in the Fukushima Daiichi, at least such a budget is necessary. That is our estimation.
Sorry, just as a follow-up, apart from Fukushima Daiichi, will you increase the spending for your other nuclear assets to ensure safety in those other power plants?
Yes, as you said, we have to prepare that budget to stable, safe activity in the Fukushima Daiichi. That is additional cost on the nuclear facility in TEPCO.
If I might ask, Anegawa-san, it looks likely this summer that we'll have a restarting of a number of our reactors in Western Japan. How will this strengthen the case for TEPCO being able to restart Kashiwazaki?
Yeah. In the panel discussion, previous panel discussion, there was a opinion. Right now, whole nuclear power plant are shut down in Japan. And even this condition, we are surviving. We are handling this tough situation. That's why the most of people may think nuclear power plant are not necessary in Japan. We can keep the economical activity under the condition without the nuclear power plant. That is the threat. And because why I said threat, it is a misunderstanding. The reason why we can continue the power supply to whole Japan is the electricity company is doing stretching over our capacity. That means sooner or later, if we cannot restart any nuclear power plant, every power supplier have to increase the electricity price level. That had a very strong impact on the Japanese economy. And west side nuclear power plant, the Kyushu Island or Osaka area, they don't have any room, additional room to endure the current level of the electricity price. That's why, hopefully, in this year, several nuclear power plants restart after getting the review of the NRA. It can relieve the economical condition of Japan. And if in that process, most of the Japanese people understand what is the impact on that, we hope most of the people accept the restarting of the safe nuclear power plants.
Well, Anegawa-san, I'd like to thank you very much for presenting today. A very interesting subject. Thank you.
Thank you very much.